Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be my highlights of the year for books I've collected. It's been a really big year for collecting for me. I picked it up again. I picked up the habit again after stopping for a while. I whittled down my collection, which was about 4 or 5 boxes, down to 1.5. And it was mostly what I kept was Spider-Man stuff, Black Spider-Man costume stuff, Darkhawk, some DC, Superman, Doomsday stuff. But most of it I gave or I sold away. I just got tired of moving around with long boxes. I'd moved from the East Coast to the West Coast to the West Coast to Florida, and then from Florida back to New York, and it was just getting really tiring. So I got rid of a lot of them. But then I don't know. I got bit by the bug again. I had a buddy that would take me to the comic store after work or during lunch, and on Wednesdays. And then I started seeing books I was interested in and started picking it up. And now I haven't looked back yet. It's definitely I had 1.5 boxes. Now I have 3 long boxes and 4 short boxes, and I'm exploding out of that. So I have to get a new short box soon. I blame it all on the dollar bins. I mostly go to like the flea market and look through dollar bins at conventions and stuff, or local comic shops that have dollar bins. I pick up new issues as well. Not a huge spender, as I'm sure you've seen, but I really love finding those diamonds in the rough. Those stealth buys are really what keep me going. So I mostly started going back to dollar bins and comic shops and conventions in April. So my collection's exploded since April. But these are going to be the highlights. And I don't have quite as much as I thought I was going to have to show. I thought I had gotten more that I thought I was going to end up making this video too long. But I think it'll probably fit in the normal time. So anyway, let's get started. This is Captain America 290, first appearance of Sin. I was really happy to find that on my comic shop for I think it was like $2 or something. I mean, she's not a character that's really used recently, but you never know when she'll pop up again. So it's good to hold on to. This one I got for maybe like 75 cents at the flea market. First appearance of the Horseman. It's not a fantastic copy. It looks alright in the plastic over here, but it's definitely got some rounded corners, and the color is a bit faded on it. That blue in the background looks a bit faded to me, but overall, it's pretty decent. I had this issue once a long time ago, but it was one of those books I'd gotten rid of, so glad to have it again. Captain Marvel number 16, first appearance of the female Quasar, Phyla-Vell? I don't know. Female Quasar, we'll just call her that. So yeah, that's our first appearance. I was glad to find that in the dollar bins. Actually, I have 2 copies of this that I got this year. I got one I got off my comic shop for maybe about $4, and the other one I found in a dollar bin at the Boston Comic Con. So that was cool to get. This is an eBay purchase. Captain Marvel 17, second appearance of Kamala Khan. Once presumed to be the first appearance, but the first appearance is actually Captain Marvel 14. But this is still cool to have. One day I'll get 14. This is a funny book. Kitty Pryde, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. I never knew this existed. Got it in a dollar bin. Probably overpriced at $1. But it's just such an oddity that every time I'm going through my long box, I have to pull this out and flip through it. It's just so weird. It's an awful story and an awful art, but it's just too weird not to find interesting. And same with this one. This is Dazzler number 10, Dazzler versus Galactus. One of the matchups you probably never thought you'd see. Yeah, me neither. That's why it's interesting. These two next two are great. Got these in one of my first visits to the flea market that I frequent in Massachusetts. Amazing Spider-Man 430 and Amazing Spider-Man 431. Both beautiful copies, $1 each. Couldn't believe it. That's why I keep going back to these dollar bins and flea markets. You know, it's too tempting. It's too much fun to find a really good book that they have for cheap. You know, and I'm trying to collect Amazing Spider-Man 200 to 700, trying to fill all that in. And these two I knew were going to be difficult ones to get, so I was really happy to find those for $1. Good stuff. This one is a recent one, Spider-Verse #1, the Nick Bradshaw variant edition. Love Nick Bradshaw's art. Wish he would be an ongoing penciler for like Amazing Spider-Man or something. But this image is just fantastic with all the different versions of Spider-Man. Even got Spider-Hulk over there. How can you go wrong? If you're a Spider-Man fan, this is beautiful. I mean, it really is. Really glad to have that in there. Oh man, Gwen Stacy Spider-Woman. One of my favorite new character of 2014. Love the costume, love the concept, especially after seeing the Amazing Spider-Man 2 movie. You know, say what you will about it. I thought it was great, but I definitely could see the problems with the movie. But I think everyone can agree that Emma Stone did a fantastic job as Gwen Stacy, and it really tugged my heartstrings. So seeing them bring her back as Spider-Woman, I think is fantastic. So really looking forward to her ongoing series coming out in 2015. But super glad that I have 2 copies of this, and I'm really glad to have gotten both. I'm super happy that I started picking up books again in time for this. I would have been kicking myself, even if I had no interest in collecting on a monthly basis. Just the fact that this is like a new Spider-Woman, new costume. Yeah, I would have been really mad that I missed out on it. So yeah, glad to have that. These 2 I got before the hype hit. Thankfully, Avenging Spider-Man 9 and Avenging Spider-Man 9 second print. Got these in the dollar bin at my local comic shop in, I want to say, August. And there were rumors back then about Carol Danvers being used for the cinematic universe, but nothing was like announced. So these were still under the radar, so I was glad to pick those up while I could. Marvel Team Up 95, first Mockingbird. This I got off my comic shop for a really low price, $6, maybe $7. They listed it as a 6.5, but I would put it much higher than that. Like, then again, I'm not much of a grader, so but it looks pretty awesome to me. I don't see any major issues on it. Yeah, pretty happy to have that. Not the first appearance of Bobby Chase, but her first appearance as Mockingbird. So, cool key to have. Got this one for $3 at a local comic shop in Providence, Rhode Island. Yeah, surprised to see it in there, knowing how desirable it is nowadays. Not a fan of recent Deadpool. Modern Deadpool, I guess you could say, but it's definitely Amazing Spider-Man, and it's before 700, so I needed this to fill in my collection, and it was probably going to be hard to get otherwise. So yeah, cool to have. This one, Amazing Spider-Man 25, the enhanced version. I had it a long time ago, got rid of it. This, like the early part of Volume 2, is kind of scarce. Sometimes people want a lot for them. Sometimes people don't know what they have and charge normal price. Thankfully, this was the latter. I went to a comic shop in Massachusetts and they had this for $5, which is sounds like a lot for it, but it's only $1 above cover price, so I consider it not too bad. And I don't see this every day. In fact, that was the only time I've seen it in the wild in a long time. Long time. So really glad to have that again. Amazing Spider-Man 400, the unenhanced variant. Super happy to have this. Every time I've seen it on eBay, people want like $20, $30 for it or more for like a buy it now. So I got this in a lot on eBay of, I think it was 400 to 403 or 404 for $8. So I consider that a pretty big win. I was really glad to have it in there. I like the unenhanced cover way better than the enhanced cover. The enhanced cover, you can barely make out the details. Next one on my hit list is the white version, which is kind of a pain in the ass to get for a good price. Another unenhanced version, Spider-Man 388. Not super sought after, but I like the rarer, I guess, of the if there's two versions of a book, I like to get the rarer version, whether it's the second print or the unenhanced version. This is definitely harder to find than the enhanced version. So I saw it for $1 and I was like, sure, I will get that. Amazing Spider-Man 347. I think I paid $2 for this. I got this back when it was brand new. Since I've gotten rid of that copy. But I got this again this summer for $3, $3 at the Providence Comic-Con. I was really glad to re-add that back into the collection. Love that cover. Not crazy about super long tongue Venom, but that's just such a striking image. This was a fun one to get at the Rhode Island Comic-Con for $1. Web of Spider-Man 5 Deadpool variant. The prices are kind of erratic on eBay. Not really sure what it goes for. It's definitely more than $1. I can tell you that much. So glad to have that in there. Back to rarer versions of books. This is not a highly sought after book, but it's the second print of Spectacular Spider-Man 189. So it's the gold variant. The first print is silver, or normal, I guess. But I was really glad to have it. Cool to have in my collection. Not super sought after, like I said. You could probably get it off of any online store for $1 or maybe a little more, but cool to have. Oh man, this one, if you saw my last video, it was already in there, but this one I got off a lot of Spectacular Spider-Man books. 47 Spectacular Spider-Man books for $47. Terrible description. Nobody bid on it. The pictures were awful. I kind of took a chance on this. I saw this in there, in the image, but it wasn't fully visible, so I wasn't sure what kind of condition it was going to be in. But it's a really beautiful copy. Only very minor problems with it. And I'm not a huge fan of Cloak and Dagger, but for some reason I'm enticed to pick up some, like, all the early books. I mean, the character power sets are pretty cool. So I'm interested in finding out more about them, and I knew I wanted to get the first appearance before it became something that was too difficult to get. So happy to have that. Really happy to have that. Amazing Spider-Man Annual 21, the Tuxedo variant. I had the Spider-Man variant. Really glad to get the Tuxedo one. It was $5, 50% off $5. So yeah, good price. Amazing Spider-Man number 9 variant edition. Again, Gwen Stacy, love her. So I'm glad to have a variant with her on it. This doubles as one of my favorite books and one of my biggest failures of this year. I bought this for $60 a week before Guardians came out, and it was an impulse buy. I was having a hard time finding a book on eBay that was a good price and had bright colors on it. It was driving me nuts, so I got this one when I saw it had bright colors, and I did not look at the back. The back, actually, let me pull this guy out here for you. The back is intact. It's just not. It's very dusty looking, and that drives me mad. And it's got a tear over there, so it's definitely $60. I think would be for like a near mint version. I would say it's all intact. The corners are rounded. The colors are sharp though, so I'd put it at a VG, I guess, maybe a little higher than that, VG plus. So not a total loss, but definitely not worth $60. I think $30 would have been just the high watermark for that book. But if you didn't know, this is the first appearance of Gamora. I don't think it's taken off quite as much as the other first appearances in Guardians, but still cool to have. Probably one of the older books I've gotten over the past year. Milestone edition of Doctor Strange. Don't see this too often in the wild. or in online stores, so it's pretty cool to have it. Doctor Strange #1, the late '80s series. Not super sought after again, but cool to have a Doctor Strange #1 given all the hype going on right now. Silver Surfer 50 third printing. Don't see this very often. I got this on an online comic shop, so it can't be too sought after. Otherwise, it wouldn't have even been there. But it struck my eye. It's not a book I see very often, so I love this book because it was one of the early books I got in my heavy collecting period of my youth. I remember seeing that image on the first print and going, "Wow, that's a really awesome. That's a great idea. What book better uses an enhanced version than this? Yeah, it's a Silver Surfer. That's perfect to me. It makes total sense. And even as a kid, I was like, yeah, that's great. So I had no prior knowledge of the Silver Surfer other than images here and there. So it was cool to read this and find out more Surfer's origin, and then of course at the end it leads into Infinity Gauntlet. So then I got sucked into the Infinity Gauntlet, and yeah, that's where that all started. Now I'm very, very interested in the Infinity Gauntlet and everything tied to it. But yeah, this is the third print. We'll have Captain Marvel #1, second print. I got this also before the hype started. I passed up on the original version and got this one instead. I think I got it for like $2 off of my comic shop in August. I felt like, even though there were rumors, I felt like it was going to be overdoing it, getting the unenhanced version. I wasn't totally confident that they were going to do anything with her. I'm kicking myself now. I would have liked to have had that, but I'm glad to have at least gotten this one. Because as you know, I like the second prints. Dragon's Claws. First appearance of Death's Head in a Marvel book. Like a Marvel, normal-sized Marvel book. His first appearance is actually Transformers 113, the UK edition. It's like an oversized magazine kind of book. I'm having a hard time finding that on eBay. I think right now there's one on there and a lot for a bunch of other Marvel UK Spider-Man or Transformers books. But it's going for like 100 something. It's a decent amount of books, so I can understand why they want that much. But I only want the first appearance of Death's Head, and eventually I'll find it. It's been up on eBay a few times, but I just keep missing it. So yeah, cool character. I'd like to see them do something with him in recent Marvel books or upcoming Marvel books. Yeah, good to have. These are 4 that I also got at the flea market. Rise of Apocalypse 1, 2, 3, and 4. All beautiful copies. First issue was $1. 2, 3, and 4 were 50 cents. Really awesome. Really, really awesome. Not a fan of the series itself. I read it years ago and I didn't really care for it, but given all the hype around Apocalypse, and he's one of my favorite villains, couldn't pass up that deal. Miss Marvel #1, got this in September, I think. $3 on eBay, but when I was opening it, I fucked it up. See that up there? That's from me opening it. That's the only problem with it, but every time I look at it, I cry a little bit inside. Otherwise, it looks great, but I'm definitely would like another copy. Definitely. This was $1 from the Providence Comic Con. Also, Miss Marvel #2. Wish it was #1, but was really glad to see they had a lot of Miss Marvels in the dollar bin. And this was just after the announcement. So this was in November. I forget when the announcement was, but it's not a perfect copy. You can see it's got some ticks over there, and it's got a bends up at the top over here, but for $1, I will take it. Black Panther #1, 80s series. This is not like a super sought after book. Maybe it is, and I just haven't been paying attention. I found it for $1 before the announcement was made. I like this so much because it is a beautiful copy. I mean, there are no ticks on it. Actually, scratch that. There's one very small one right there. I just love looking at this. I like seeing the black just being so smooth and no white cracks on it. That really makes me happy. So yeah, really cool to see that. Not sure if it's going to be sought after once the movie starts, but cool to have nonetheless. Thor: God of Thunder #12, first appearance of Agent Ross, who is my front runner for the new Lady Thor. But it's also cool to have a first appearance of a new S.H.I.E.L.D. character, given all the S.H.I.E.L.D. characters that make it into the cinematic universe. Avengers 257, first appearance of Nebula. Again, this is another one that didn't take off, even less so than the Gamora one. This one you can still find for under 10, probably even under 8, I would say. I don't think she was that. I don't think her portrayal in the movie was done that well. She kind of came off as whiny, and kind of a jerk, but just not three-dimensional. I think they could have done more with her and the whole sister relationship with Gamora. But yeah, still cool to have. Good first appearance. New X-Men 128, first appearance of Phantom X. Had this a long time ago, got rid of it, was pissed when I saw it. It goes for like $20-30 now. So I got this in a lot of all the Grant Morrison X-Men comics for $25, I think it was, somewhere around there. So it was really cool to get it for a good price. This one is definitely not a sought after book anymore. Ghost Rider #1, first appearance of Danny Ketch and the new Ghost Rider. I put this in here because this was a super sought after book back when I was collecting in the early 90s. And the kid in me is really happy to have this now. Even if it's just $1 now. Maybe not even worth that. But still cool to have. These are Daredevil #9, 2 copies. First appearance of Echo. Was trying to stock up on good, cheap Daredevil keys in light of the new TV show coming out. I think Echo is a perfect choice for a character that would potentially show up in that show. So, wanted to get those before I regret it. Same with this one. First appearance of Typhoid Mary, another interesting character that if I was a TV producer, I would try to work in there. And another Daredevil 153, first appearance of Ben Urich, the news reporter that was prominent in a lot of the Frank Miller stuff. Usually is a pretty big character in a lot of Daredevil runs. Infinity Gauntlet #1, paid $10 for this. I thought that was an okay price. I was just glad to have it back in my collection. I had this when it first came out, got rid of it, wanted to have it again, got it, end of story. Secret Wars #7, first appearance of Julia Carpenter. Cool to have. Spider-Man key, good stuff. I think I got that for about $2-3. This was in a dollar bin. Secret Wars #1. Again, had this a long time ago, got rid of it. Wanted it back, didn't want to shell out a lot of money. $1 was perfect price for me. Wolverine. Hulk #8 from the second series. This is a hard to find book. I think it goes for about $10, $15, maybe a little more. I got this for $1, so I was happy to have it. Another dollar bin book, Hulk 449, first appearance of the Thunderbolts. Good to have, undervalued in my opinion. Azrael #100, the last issue. Got this in a dollar bin. Love Azrael. Not a big fan of DC, but Azrael is definitely one of those characters that I really enjoy. It's a shame that they don't do anything with him. But this is a hard to find book. Got it for $1. Couldn't pass that up. This was also for $1 and really shouldn't have been. Vengeance of Bane #1, first appearance of Bane. Like I've said in videos prior, I'm pretty sure the people who put this in the dollar bin thought it was the second print, because the second print, the only difference is a Roman numeral, and it's very small. So, very, very glad to have this. Again, the 90s child in me is super happy. This is just a cool cover. Marvel Age 57. That is all the 80s redesigns right there, and they all look great together. Marvel Age #12, first technical appearance of the black costume for Spider-Man. Fantastic Four, Ultimate Fantastic Four #21, the first appearance of the zombie universe. Fantastic Four 348, second print of the new Fantastic Four. I love that cover. Art Adams is a fantastic artist. And I always love seeing that team get together again. Fantastic Four Ace Edition. I really wanted to get all these Ace Editions, just because it's a weird, quirky, unique versions of these titles. I wish it was a Spider-Man one, but I was glad to see at least one. This was in a dollar bin, so couldn't pass it up. Cloak and Dagger #1. This is, again, it's a cheap book. I got it for $1. It's probably, you can probably find it for $1 easily. But I think the characters are interesting. I want to learn more about them, so I was really happy to see this for $1. Runaways #1. This is another super undervalued book. I got this for $12, I think, on eBay. I thought that was a pretty fair price. I think it should be way more than that. I don't think the print run was very high. The characters are probably some of the most unique characters and interesting characters that Marvel has had in years. But they haven't done anything with... Well, that's not true. They had some of them recently show up in Avengers Arena. But I think they could do a lot more with these characters. And I'm glad to have this into my collection. And last but not least, this is Inhumans #5, first appearance of Black Widow 2, Yelena Belova. I haven't read the book. I flipped through it, so I confirmed her first appearance in there. But not sure why her first appearance was in an Inhumans book. Still cool to have. I could see them doing something with her in the cinematic universe. I'm not sure where she is in the comic universe now. But yeah, cool to have. Glad to have it. I think it was $3. Yeah. So I think that's about it, guys. In fact, that is about it. Yeah, it's been a great year for collecting for me. In the following year, I'm probably gonna slow down a bit on the dollar bins, because I am just exponentially increasing the room size that I need for all these boxes that I keep having to get to fill up. I think I've gotten the last 3 boxes I've gotten in the past 2 months, because I keep going to like these dollar bins and like coming out with like stacks of like 30 books or so. So I might not do quite as much. I might be more selective of the books I get, instead of just grabbing something that looks interesting. I'm gonna see if it's actually on my list of books that I want to get. Hopefully I can complete some of my Amazing Spider-Man series. Would love to find those J. Scott Campbell books, the Black Cat covers, because I know those are going to be a pain in the butt to find. Maybe I can grab the Hobgoblin first appearance this year. Also going to try to find that Amazing Spider-Man 400 White Edition, but we'll see how that goes. Anyway, guys, take care of yourselves, enjoy the hunt, and enjoy the holidays. Adios.